So some of you may have watched my previous video on spray painting. I used a metallic silver made by Universal. Among other things, I repainted the hood of this fish tank. It was black prior. I also did the stand for it in also using Universal Rust-Oleum Universal spray paint in a glossy white finish. The top was a metallic silver. So the next part of the restoration or refinish is to create a mirror background for this fish tank, and also, somehow figure out what to do with this black trim, whether to paint it or also use some sort of a chrome or mirror finish. Anyway, making this video because I ended up doing a lot of research in terms of chrome finishes and mirror finishes, everything from the spray paint mirror finish to Mylar paper to paint pens. In the end, I watched tons of videos. I read a lot of websites, just trying to figure out what could be used and what can't. And in the end, unfortunately, there aren't that many alternatives, because as far as paint, there's really nothing available that will allow you to put a hard finish on it to protect any kind of chrome paint, and therefore it often will rub off or just becomes kind of smeared and loses its shine. There is a paint pen by Molotow, which I've used in the past. It's their liquid chrome, which is pretty decent. It's very expensive if you have to do it's not made for large projects. This is really used for model cars and little model type stuff that's wheels, whatever, that's not going to get touched or be used regularly or cleaned for that matter. Rust-Oleum makes a mirror finish, which I saw a lot of videos, and the outcome looks good. As far as a fish tank, you definitely I see a lot of people using it, but you shouldn't. Why? Because glass is porous, so over time those chemicals are going to seep right through the glass. They can ruin or kill anything you have living in your tanks. So I do not advise it for tanks. I don't really know how long they last, or if you can. Don't believe that you can you definitely can't put a finish over them, and I don't think that you can actually clean them. So if it's in an area where they're not going to be used, that may work well. As far as paper, there are so many different types. Many are sold for use in greenhouses to grow plants, things of that nature. I even looked into making a Mylar mirror, as I said, and yes, there is a company out there that makes a stretchable Mylar. When I say stretchable, a shrinkable Mylar paper that can be used with basically a frame, stretched out and then heated. And there's a couple of videos on YouTube you can see. A, the paper is super expensive if you have a small project, and B, it looks like a lot of work in terms of the heat and doing it right. It's very hard to get it perfectly finished to resemble an exact mirror. As far as paper, a lot of different types, different sizes. In the end, after searching through all of them, trying to look at pictures the best I could, I ended up purchasing the Vivosun. It's a Mylar paper, comes in different millimeters. I chose, I think, 4 millimeters by 4 feet. It's a little extra. I figured I'll use it on the fish tank, and if I have extra, which I should, I'm going to try to attempt to do a closet, some movable closets. They're pretty long. If I end up doing that project, I'll post it here, so subscribe if you want to see more or get alerted to that. So I'm not going to show you the whole process of doing this, because this isn't a how-to. This is just more about what works and what doesn't. So hopefully, if it works, I've saved you time in terms of researching. If it doesn't, I save you time and money, not going through this process. But yeah, I've taken some measurements of the fish tank. Just so you know, if you're doing this at home, first thing to do is to clean the glass behind. If you don't clean the glass on both sides, it's going to reflect all that dirty muck. So hang in there, and I'll be back with you. All right, just a couple of things along the way. I know I wasn't going to show up how to do it, but I'm picking up some small tidbits here that could save you time. First of all, definitely you don't try to do it with the tank against the wall. It's much easier if you try to get behind it like I am now. Second, I don't recommend using like strong Gorilla Tape for your first go when you're trying to set it. First, use Scotch tape as I am here, because you can reposition it much easier. Take it on, take it off. The idea is this has to be like super tight with no crinkles. So if you're one person doing it like myself, it's a little bit more difficult, as this is almost 4 feet long. If you have someone else helping you, it's probably a bit easier. But anyway, yeah, I thought I'd share that, go along, let's see how it goes. Right, so here's the finished product. Not gonna lie to you, it took a lot longer than I expected it to. It came out pretty well. I'm a bit of a perfectionist, it's not perfect. It could have been done better, but I proved, the old proof of concept, the Vivosun Mylar paper, 4mm, it is reflective enough, it does work well as far as being reflective, especially for this fish tank. A couple of things I learned along the way that I want to pass along, save you the time and frustration. First of all, most importantly, there are two sides to this Vivosun paper. They're so reflective that I didn't notice at first, that I went through all the taping, measuring everything, put it up, and realized that the side looking at me was a lot more reflective. So took it all down, redid it. Number two, don't use Scotch tape from the 99-cent store. After the first bout of doing it, I ran out, so that's all I was left with. In the end, I positioned it with the Scotch tape, and then I went through with Gorilla Tape to reinforce it and to get out all the wrinkles. Basically, you have to keep it's harder than it looks. You have to keep tightening it in different spots. One of the reasons it's hard is because these fish tanks have a little bit of an edge here. It's kind of hard to tell on the camera, but this is the glass, and then you have this black edging on both sides, and if you tape it from black to black, it's going to create a space in between, and then you have to keep going, tightening it in the different spots and pulling at it so that you get all the creases out, and it's almost perfectly reflective. What else? Yeah, I mean, this job is probably a little bit easier done with two people, but you can do it with one person. I haven't decided what I'm going to do with this edging yet. I'm going to see how it looks. I wanted to film this first and see how it looks with the paper, but I might end up just painting it with a paint pen that I looked into. If I do that project, I will film it as well, because I've already done a lot of research on the for these paint pens. They're not all the same, and they're not all the same thickness. Yeah, look, if you have any questions, feel free to comment. I will get back to you as soon as possible. If you like it, give it a thumbs up. If you want to see more, I'm curious. I'm going to try that at some point. I'll try the closet, see if it works as like a mirror. And yeah, if you want to be alerted to that, subscribe down below. Otherwise, thanks for joining me. Hope I helped out. Later.